folks, what a treat for Kentucky History Treasures. We've got our friend Trevor Jones here from Kentucky Historical Society. Once again, Trevor, share with folks the incredible importance of where we are right now.
We are in the old state capitol here in Frankfort. We are in the House Chambers, and this building was built in 1830, and from 1830 to about 1909, 1910, this was the seat of Kentucky's government.
Incredible. And we have to talk about these three imposing paintings that really dominate the room. Give us a quick backstory on each.
Okay, well, you've got sort of three massive icons for Kentucky here, and maybe people will be familiar with one, but maybe, or two, but maybe not all three. And the one that we've got right next to you is the Marquis de Lafayette, and he was super important for Kentucky because a lot of Kentuckians had served in the Revolutionary War, and in 1825 he came through a tour through Kentucky, and the legislature at that time was building this building, and they wanted a portrait of Lafayette, so they sent Matthew Jewett, a great portrait painter to D.C., and they said paint him there, but he'd missed him. Lafayette was already headed this way, and there was another painting of Lafayette that was already there in the House Chambers there, and so Jewett painted from that one, and then Lafayette agreed that he would sit down and let him retouch it to show how he had aged, and he did that in Lexington for one day in 1825. Okay. Jewett got an hour with Lafayette, and that's where this portrait comes from.
Wow.
So this is hung here basically since this building was opened, which is really amazing to think about how many people have been here since then.
Incredible. And then our centerpiece, of course, our first president.
Is George Washington. You got to have George Washington front and center. And then I think this one shows sort of Kentucky's aspiration to show that they're a really important state at that time, because the legislature commissioned this portrait 1 year after Washington, D.C. got theirs almost identical to this one. So they clearly were like, well, if D.C. has one, we need a Washington as well.
Wow. And it wouldn't be a Kentucky building without Daniel Boone.
Daniel Boone. This one is my favorite of all of these three massive things. Each of these is about 9 feet tall, by the way. So if you sense the scale, they're bigger than life size.
Incredible.
And we've got Boone. And Boone is sort of shown in the wilderness, and he's like a natural man. He's got a coonskin cap on his knee. He's got a knife and buckskin leggings, and they're showing him as this mountain man. And he's huge. He's an enormous guy. And just about nothing in this portrait of Daniel Boone is accurate historically. It was painted 20 years after his death, and Boone was a small guy. He was about my size. He was powerfully built, but he was no massive hunter, and he certainly did not have Elvis sideburns like he's depicted in this portrait. But that's the way they wanted to see him.
A little bit of artistic license there. Well, it certainly sets the mood for important decisions to be made in this very historic, very important place in Kentucky history. So we want to invite folks out to take a tour. Can folks get a sense of this place from your website?
You can get a sense from the website. You can check out our tour schedule online as well, and there are tours just about every day through this building, and you can not only see this room, but the library and the Senate and all the rest of the building as well.
Fantastic. For Kentucky History Treasures, I'm Doug Hine. We'll see you next time.